and say that. I don't think that was credible. I think Ron Paul continues to be a very intriguing candidate, but again, not in line with mainstream Republican thinking. I still don't see him elevating himself to that point. Huntsman had a good debate. The question is, he's been showing that he's picking up in polls in New Hampshire. Can he pick up in polls nationally? I think tonight he seemed very steady, very confident. If anybody might have had a breakthrough night, I think it would have been John Huntsman. But overall, this being the sixth primary debate in this Republican contest, I don't think there was really much of a shakeup at any level except for the Gary Johnson's dog comment and maybe a little bit of a heart-rending moment for Herman Cain as he talked about his cancer and got that ovation from the entire room. The overall image, though, that's being baked into the American mind by watching all of these debates on TV with this large number of Republicans on stage is that they're becoming a Republican Party that's talking in fairly isolationist terms. They want to do away with government, including do away with education department. I remember Ronald Reagan issuing that report, Nation at Risk. The states were not doing the job on education. That's why the feds got involved. Do away with EPA. I think a lot of people watching wonder about, well, what about environmental protections? So on lots of levels, it looks like the party is talking to the party, having a very internal conversation, but the image it's creating of Republicans, I think, is pretty much that they are off to the side here.
Okay, Mary Catherine.
Well, I'm going to disagree with the guys a little bit here. I think Romney may have actually slowed his momentum a bit. He'll still obviously be one of the top two guys, but I think folks have been waiting for him to sort of come out and punch, and I do think he missed some obvious opportunities. I think when he was talking about books back and forth when they were having their book club moment, he should have maybe mentioned Confidence Men, which is the latest book everyone's talking about, in which Romney Care is mentioned as the basis for Obamacare among Obama's own people. I think that would have been a nice hit, and I think he missed it. And that's the central thing he needs to hit on, perhaps more than flip-flops. Romney is sort of slow and steady wins the race here, and he's been competent, and he continues to be. And I think Perry's going to have to get some more practice in to overtake.
Mary Catherine, Juan, Charles, thank you very much. Quick round with the panel here. An interesting night. Chris, your thoughts?
I think that cheers to Megyn Kelly. Perry and Romney need to worry about their act getting a little tired. We asked the question, but they need to worry that I think if they keep on like bickering like an unmarried a couple that's not happily married, they're going to come back to the field. They need to rise above that.
Megyn.
I think Perry doubling down on his policy with respect to illegal immigration is going to be a headline tomorrow. That was big news. And I also think that Newt Gingrich's answer in response to the mojo question about focusing on President Obama and defeating him will be the moment of the evening.
There were some funny moments, Governor Johnson and his dog, and I thought Herman Cain had a big night tonight. A lot of his answers, including his personal story about cancer. That is it for us. Thanks for watching. Good night from Orlando, Florida, but we're not done here. Sean Hannity is live in the spin room with the candidates. You do not want to turn the channel. Keep it here on Fox. Have a good one.
And welcome to the special post-debate edition of Hannity. We're live in Orlando, Florida tonight. 9 GOP challengers, they duked it out on stage and each made their best pitch to the American people on how they could defeat the anointed one in 2012 and get the country back on track. So who came out on top? Now, over the next hour, you'll hear directly from many of the candidates. Mitt Romney is here, Michele, Bachmann, Newt Gingrich, Ron Paul, and Herman Cain. But first, we go live to our own Frank Luntz. He stands by tonight in Tampa, Florida, just north, with a group of Republican voters to get their reaction to tonight's debate. Frank.
Sean, we absolutely have a winner tonight, a clear winner. How many of you in this room walked in supporting Mitt Romney? Raise your hands. How many of you thought Mitt Romney won the debate? Raise your hands. Watch this. Sean, how many of you have changed your mind over the last week and gone from one candidate to another? Raise your hands. Who'd you go from and who'd you go to?
I went from Perry. And I still like Gingrich.
Who'd you go from to?
I was voting for Santorum, and now I like Mitt Romney.
Who'd you go from?
Romney to Cain.
From where to where?
Romney to Cain.
Over here. Who'd you go from and to? Who switched?
Rick Perry to Mitt Romney. Mitt Perry.
To who?
To Romney.
Where'd you go from and to?
Perry to Gingrich.
What was it? Those of you who thought Mitt Romney won, why? I mean, we've been doing these debates for a while. This is the best showing for Mitt Romney. What was so strong about him?
Decisive decisions. Perry was such a waffler, and he really looked presidential.
What was it?
I thought he was Reagan-esque. He spoke with great specificity.
Yeah, he had clear answers, gave specific answers.
He was confident. He was very elegant in the way he answered the questions.
Elegant. I've not heard that word used to describe Mitt Romney before.
He wasn't fumbling around. He wasn't...
Yeah. I thought Perry was too defensive the entire time. He spent too much time fighting with Romney instead of talking about his policies.
Now I want to take you back. Hold on one second. I want to take you. There are 3 segments that we're going to show tonight in Dials, and this first one was the most negative reaction that I've seen any Republican candidate have among Republican primary voters. This is Rick Perry talking about immigration. Let's take a look.
Most folks.
I guess we don't have that clip. You all remember when he talked about immigration, and he said that those who don't support funding people with illegal immigration, funding education, have no heart. What was so wrong with that?
It's an absolutely disgusting thing to say. When you hold up free health care or free education to people who want to get their children served and their lives served, that's a temptation to come. That's actually putting people's lives at risk. It's not a compassionate thing to hold up.
What was so negative?
It's not that they can't get an education, it's that they're subsidizing them. They shouldn't be subsidized. My son wanted to go to Texas A&M and paying out-of-state tuition. It was just too much. But being illegal, you can. That's not right.
The things that I'm tired of is being told that I'm heartless and being a conservative, and it's unacceptable. We can take care of the immigrant without subsidizing them, without coddling them, without making this a possibility for them to come in.
So help Rick Perry here. What should he have said? Is there anything that he could have done that would communicate it more effectively?
Well, I think Santorum was correct when he said essentially that it's not about illegals not going to school. It's about giving them benefits before Americans get the benefits.
Now, you mentioned Santorum. Sean, there's another clip, and hopefully we can pull it up now, which is Rick Perry and Senator Santorum, Rick Santorum, going back and forth with each other on the issue of immigration, and it really bothered the people in this room. Let's take a look. I don't hear it. Nope. Okay, I guess it's just going to be you guys for the rest of this. These things happen. It's live television. So I want to go back to why Governor Romney did so well. Explain it to me.
I've been concerned about what he did with health care in Massachusetts, but he did say that one of his first things out the gate would be to repeal Obamacare, and so that made me feel better about where he stood on that issue.
And that was the clear point to you.
Well, and I think he learned from his mistakes, and I think that that's going to be very helpful for him going forward.
We're looking for accountability.
Go ahead.
We're looking for accountability, and he has said, I made mistakes and I'm willing to take responsibility for them, and this is what I would have done differently. That's what we want in a president.
Well, I think this is the first time also. This is the first time also he's actually explained that healthcare system and, at least finally convinced me that he doesn't believe it as a national system. Because in the medical profession, that's the one thing I would not go with him with.
The one thing I like about Mitt Romney is his answers now with this health care plan in Massachusetts. It is a state privilege to provide those services for your state, and that's where it belongs. It's one of the reasons why I've been opposed to this Obamacare deal from the very start. Mitt Romney had to come forward, and he had to say this. I have a right as a governor to govern my state the way we feel best.
Now, Florida's
that today. In the debate, Rick Perry said that it was a state right. So he really kind of shot the whole Romney care thing in the foot by saying that.
You guys agree with that?
Yes.
Absolutely. One more.
But on the economy, I think his message was, we've tried government spending, that's failed. Now he wants to believe in the American, believe in free enterprise, and I think that's huge.
So I want to cover some of the other candidates. Herman Cain gave one of the most powerful statements when he talked about getting rid of the EPA. You all voted before we went on the air as that being one of the 2 most dramatic things. What was so strong about saying no more EPA, let's start over again?
It shows that nothing is a sacred cow. I mean, it may take in Washington going, literally department by department and cleaning house, but that nothing is a sacred cow to him. He's willing to start from scratch with something.
Harold?
I think the EPA is more important because it's what's holding us back on the energy, looking for new energy. We're letting snail darters keep us from doing things. I mean, all the, like he said, the dust, regulating dust, all the minutia. Not that we don't need some regulation to make sure the water stays clean, et cetera, et cetera.
But, I mean, that's the whole point of the EPA also. I think if you get caught up in, like, the minutia of the small part, then you'll look at these talking points and say, oh, the EPA needs to go. But, I mean, it's a critical function of government. We can't just toss it out and say, well, that's a great talking point. I'm going to vote for you. I think that's insane.
I think it's very conscious that people think of the EPA as being regulatory.
Go ahead, one more.
The other thing, I'm a scientist, and I get so tired of people mixing science with politics. Why can't we just really discuss the science and keep the politics out of it?
So, are the candidates answering the questions you want to see answered, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
No. Okay, then what didn't they answer?
Too many, they didn't answer the questions. They danced around it and then went through.
Which one?
For instance,
don't make an attack, John. Don't look away. On this, we don't make an attack that we don't back up. Which one did they answer?
I didn't like Perry's answer when it specifically came to. Now I lost my train of thought.
Sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, Governor Rick Perry.
Gingrich and Herman Cain both had direct answers to the questions, and they were very specific about their answers.
I agree.
You're positive towards Newt Gingrich. Why?
I just think that he is giving very specific answers, and they make a lot of sense.
Great. Sean, Florida voters are going to determine the future. Very articulate. I want to thank you guys for participating. Back to you.
All right, and thanks, Frank Luntz. And coming up, the stage is now clear. The candidates are now entering the spin room, including former Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney. He's going to join me next live as we continue from Orlando, Florida. Then later you hear from Michele, Bachmann, Newt Gingrich, Ron Paul, Herman Cain, and much more on the special edition of Hannity.
Now, it's not the first time that Mitt's been wrong on some issues before. And the bottom line is we never said that we were going to move this back to the states. What we said was we ought to have as one of the options the state employees and the state retirees, they being able to go off of the current system onto one that the states would operate themselves.
There's a Rick Perry out there that's saying that almost to quote, it says that the federal government shouldn't be in the pension business, that it's unconstitutional, and it should be returned to the states. So you better find that Rick Perry and get him to stop saying that. Now.
All right, we're live tonight in Orlando, Florida. This is the site of this evening's Republican presidential debate. Now, early in the night, things got very heated between two of the candidates as they went head-to-head on everything from pensions to health care plans. And joining me now right here in the spin room is one of the men you just heard from. That's former Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney. Governor, how are you? Good to see you.
Terrific, Sean. Thanks.
Now, I know you were making your way over. I think Frank Luntz's focus group showed in a big way that they felt overwhelmingly you won the debate tonight. Did you feel while you were up there you were having a good night?
I felt like this was a good night tonight. We got a chance to talk about some real issues. The distinctions between candidates came out. It was fun hearing some of the great lines that came from people like Gary Johnson. Yeah. I thought it was an entertaining debate, but I was pleased tonight. I thought that people comported themselves pretty well.
All right. It seems that you and Perry, you're the two front runners, kind of go at each other. There are four main issues that you seem to have different views on: Social Security, immigration, health care, and this issue with the HPV vaccine in Texas. You really went on it on Social Security. Let's start there. What are the differences?
Well, I'm not exactly sure where Governor Perry is going to land because what he said in his book and what he said in the interviews as he was promoting his book was that Social Security is unconstitutional and it should be returned to the states. What he said on the stage tonight was different than that, so we'll see whether he wants to abandon or retreat from the position he had before. And so time will tell exactly where he is. But my view is pretty straightforward, which is Social Security does not work financially for coming generations. It's worked great for the last 75 years. It's helped our seniors. It will continue to do so. But for people who are young today, we got to change the program, make it sustainable. I think I can fix Social Security. I know how to fix things. That's what I have done throughout my private sector career. And Governor Perry, if he continues to say it should go back to the states, I think that's a very problematic course.
There's an article in the paper this morning. You don't think that Rick Perry is electable. You stand by that?
You know, that was the headline in USA Today.
When I woke up this morning in the hotel, that's what I saw.
The interviewer kept on trying to get me to say that. And she said, do you think he's unelectable? And I said, look, I think he has some challenges with some of his issues. They're very problematic. I didn't use the word unelectable because, frankly, that's a little presumptuous of me to say who's electable and who's not electable.